esport as a game, like where it's going, the fact that obviously Red Bull are doing stuff now and how they're like backing everything that's going on. So the whole experience, just getting to be here is just a pleasure, honestly. So.
And where can we catch up with you online, Stallion?
Wherever, really. So on Twitch, it's Stallion. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Stallion Streams. I'll be posting a lot of stuff about Fortnite and the new season that's coming up. So.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for talking to me today. From one Stallion to an old mare on the desk, it's Ian Chambers.
Pleasure.
I thought you were going to say from one Stallion to another. You put me on blast.
So
That's out of order.
This is how it starts.
It's how it starts, but I'm just getting warmed up. You wait till she's sitting here and I'm throwing back to her.
It's a friendly rivalry to start things off with, and it's already gone downhill.
Absolutely.
Break the truce at this point. Is that the broken truce?
That is now I'm going all in. I'm putting the chip down. Stallion did say that, it's so nice to see how far Fortnite has come. And, to be sitting, every so often you just got to take a deep breath and look around and be like, hold on, this is the first ever major Fortnite UK LAN. We've got a live audience. We're all having a great time in this amazing venue. This game, Taco, just keeps going from strength to strength.
And that's part of the anticipation, I think, from season to season, is just what's going to be the next big new thing. Because when it comes to the competitive elements, especially when you're looking into the minds of a lot of these players, these guys are going to figure out what works best, and they're going to do it fast. And you kind of have to if you want to keep up with this level of competition.
Absolutely.
あと5分? もう15分経ってるくない?
Being in my bedroom, looking at a camera with a light blaring on my face, with my face shining everywhere all over the place, talking about Fortnite, and now we get to sit here in one of the most best buildings in the world to talk about it. Like that's incredible. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I was younger, a game would be released, and then it would just come to an end organically after like a year or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you'd move on to the next one. Whereas Fortnite never fails to continue to evolve and adapt and change and figure out new ways to become interesting and dynamic, and this new update is a prime example of that. I want to talk about temples and temple vaults, because I know that's something you're quite excited about, Taco.
For sure, especially with the introduction of this jungle biome, because again, last night we saw the introduction of Season 3, and with that, these vaults are a little bit more specific in the sense that there's 3 different types. One of them, Minnie kind of touched on in the pre-show as well, with those smoke door vaults, where essentially they'll have either blue, purple, or orange smoke, and that essentially means that you have to sacrifice an item of that rarity or higher in order to actually gain access to the vault. Here you can see an example of that, and I think that it's a little bit of a risk versus reward circumstance.
And it's one that's interesting, because one of the things I was thinking about when I saw this originally is, can you build in these areas? And how can you get out? Because obviously we saw Lance earlier ended up rifting out, right? He used it intentionally. He was delayed in one of these areas. However, if you get stuck deep in here looting and a player's crouching around outside, you've just opened the one path, and you have to follow straight back out of that. So similar to the vaults that are all spread across the other side of the map, are we going to say players just sitting here, camping, waiting, and then grabbing that loot for themselves off of a body on the floor?
Well, one thing that you touched on earlier as well was like mobility on the map. In the past, we had the hammer, then we had the kinetic blade, like as Frankie was talking to Stallion about. And now it's all about vines. It's all about being George of the jungle, but I quite like that style.
I think what's interesting about the vines is that they can sometimes take you to those higher levels of elevation as well with the canopies. And from the canopies, one interesting factor is that you actually can't build on those. And so with that being, I wouldn't call it a detrimental for players, but it's not necessarily as much of a safety net, because oftentimes you would see players looking to take height and they would be able to actually utilize it a bit. But now those canopies, at least they have some loot on times.
Absolutely, and what's interesting about that whole area of the map is obviously a lot of those vines that we have there as well, that we've got obviously that you can rotate on top. This is really only in this one area of the map around the central. So not only do you have to kind of figure out how you're rotating if you spawn outside of here, if that's where your drop is, but you got to figure out how am I going to rotate when I get through this area, because do you want to avoid this area? Do you want to go through it? Is this going to be a quicker way to do it? You've got the bouncy shrooms that you've seen there. They can
I love those as well.
Fire up. Exactly. You'll reduce all of your fall damage, so you can end up rotating a little bit faster through. But this is just in this one area in the central. So again, if you're going corner to corner of the map, now with the new season you have to plan, is this actually the fastest way to go through here? Because typically when you've got things like this, like vines, rails that you end up rotating on, players just camp the end of it, and it's free damage for them. So it's difficult. It's a risk to reward. You get speed out of this to rotate. However, you're at a huge risk because you're out in the open.
It's risk versus reward, isn't it, Tucker? If you're going to do it, you've got to be expecting maybe a snake at the end of that tree.
Hopefully not. I would hope not. But I think, if anything, the players might be looking to prioritize maybe some of those vines that lead to those muddy areas of that jungle biome, because if they're able to actually camouflage themselves from thermal, because we have that introduction of the thermal DMR, and so that could be a problematic weapon. Haven't really seen too much of it here today, but I could also imagine it, since it's a legendary, just being opted for a trade-in at one of those temple vaults.
Well, you mentioned the mudslides there as well. That's another really nice feature that could lead to some spectacular moments too.
Absolutely, of course, you get a little bit of an increased movement speed when you're sliding down through that, which I think if you're rotating through, you know, I'm trying to figure out which way do I rotate? Do I go up on the vines above? Do I slide down below when it comes through into the mud? It's difficult to figure out, and obviously we've seen a couple of the players doing each of everything so far, but what will actually become the meta across the tournament is yet to be decided.
Are we ready for game 2?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Absolutely.
Edinburgh, we ready for game 2?
来た。
Just what I thought. Let's start the countdown in 10, 9,
7,
8,
6,
7,
5,
6,
4,
5,
3,
4,
2,
3,
1.
2, 1. 11 and mini mana!
They are ready, and as
Stop.
already, game number 2 is upon us, Levin. And if there's anything to go by, game number 1 didn't disappoint.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of craziness in that endgame. I think we saw the effects of the new season very much coming into the play.
それはいらない。誰も求めてない。
Seem a bit frustrated at how their first games went, right? So hopefully they can use that fire, that desire to just hop right into this next game and really start to deliver.
There's still 7 games to go. We have a long day ahead of us here. And of course, those final 4 games, double elimination points as well. So it's not all over if you haven't had the best start to the tournament today. But of course, this is Red Bull contested. This is a LAN. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of keeping my eye out for those players who are starting to heat up a bit, right? Because those are the players that are really going to be rewarded when it comes time for the double elimination points. I think the big thing is, right, we saw in endgames that, like, even if you are going crazy, clutching up, like, you're not going to get the siphon, right? So you always have to make sure you're sort of in a good position where you have some sort of mats like scuffed in the back of the zone to clutch up. Like, there's a good chance you will still be punished no matter how good your aim is.
And so many of these players, I think, have been caught out by that. Of course, the no siphon definitely has an impact on the way you play. And some of the players maybe haven't adjusted to that quite yet. Of course, we saw Rabbit taking out 2. I mean, yeah, it's very difficult indeed. But of course, Rabbit getting 2 eliminations right there at the back of the zone. Couldn't quite get into the zone because, of course, no siphon to keep his health going. And that's really the difference. Of course, we're talking about the new season, but it's the siphon change that have really had a big impact here.
Yeah, for sure. I think that will be one of the big things for all of these players. I think if you are one of these players, right, who didn't quite have the best first game, I think Reese was sort of emphasizing it. You can't allow the fact that the first game didn't go well to sort of derail your tournament.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what we see on the standings right now will probably look completely different. Not even by like the end of the day. I'm talking by like game 4. Like, it look completely different. So all you have to do is make sure you start to get it done in game 1.
Game 1 over, game 2 now. And now is the time to pop off. If you are a little bit lower down on the leaderboard, this is a perfect opportunity to mount an attack on the rest of the lobby.
I do assure you,
もうこれ30くらいになるんじゃない？
There's many, many more, and we will start to see these off-spawn battles.
俺もうこの試合でやめるわ。
This time round, of course, we saw he got it uncon. It was just Kanada landing on the other side, and it does seem like it was somewhat similar. The big difference this time is that Thomas is a bit more aggressive to start the game.
Thomas will have to be happy with this. This is good. Of course, we saw Aegis landing towards that north side of the map, or the south side of the map, I believe it was. This is ready where Thomas can just get the loot. He knows how to
100ターン2つあるよ、しかもここ。
And of course, we saw what he could do later on in the game, so
おお、
he
メルスト。
can there again. He will be a force to be reckoned with, as always.
Yeah, no, we're talking about Thomas HD here. We're not talking about no scrap. This guy is one of the goats in this game, so he'll be more than
強いやつ3人おるからな。うわ、レッドへ来た。いやー、これ。
at Slappy Shores, and of course Tayson is obviously landing here.
この人武士
Tayson and
強
the Swedes have a bit of a history in terms of contesting each other in the past, so we'll see whether this fight breaks out into anything meaningful throughout the day, but I'm sure when Tayson found out Swedes was landing here, he was a bit like, you again.
I think it's difficult though, when you're fighting at Slappy Shores, there is of course those players that are lurking nearby, Noah Rayleigh, Kylie down to the south, and it is quite easy to get to the south or the north side of the POI with those grind rails that are there. Right time. One of the best snipers in the region misses this first shot at Kanada in Thomas HD right now. He decides, you know what, that'll do, one shot and I'm out.
I wish he would have hit it.
お互い戦わないね。
さすがに初動で死にたくないんだわ。
武士弱っ。こっちも言うてか、ショットガン持ってないのか。
don't want to ever underestimate the materials you have. You've got to put them to good use, even with the vehicles allowing you to save so many.
Absolutely at the top of the Breakwater Bay. Not quite having the start that he would have dreamed of.
Yeah.
He's still got time.
He still does have time, and shout out to Nebs. Hopefully he can start to pick things up. He's actually sitting like right below us, so you know, in between the game, we saw him. He was sitting there, he was looking a bit bored. He was like, I just want to get back in and go again, right? Because he didn't have the best start.
We should mention on the screen right now, it says Refsguard, but an interesting story. Refsguard and Reddish switched. So whenever we see the name Refsguard on the screen, it's not actually Refsguard and it's Reddish. And whenever we see Reddish on the screen, it's not actually Reddish, it's Refsguard.
クイジーの武士やば。あ、ベナと戦ってるぞこれ。激アツ。相方同士の戦いかこれ。どっちが最強か。あ、逃げるか。おお、やばい。ハイドしてる。近づかないで。あ、近づかない。あー、怖えこれ。これドラムショットガンでやろうとしてるな。
いやー、やられちゃうんじゃないこれ。
あー、バレてないこれ。もっと遠く行ってくれ。
やばいやばいやばいやばい。やばい。近づいてる。やばい。
入れて気づいてない。
やばいやばい。
後ろから来るよ。後ろから来るよ。逃げて。逃げて今。まっすぐ逃げて。おい。まだ当たってるかさすがに。いるって気づいてないし。
boxed up there, and of course we saw them fight last game. It was Nyrox that came out.
Ah, やばい。
As soon as he doesn't have too much.
これ来る。いやー、さすがに来るか。ナイスナイス。援護射撃ナイス。ナイスナイスナイス。ナイス。誰あれ上のやつ。
わかんない。結構離れてるよ。
あ、もう移動してよ。ガチナイス。
The massive mountain that just engulfs this drop spot down below.
Saすがにだから逃げるやろ。
So for Nyrox up close, you can see them actually going inside the building here to block that line of sight from the player that's looking down. I think this is going to be a little bit more peaceful between them. No anger, no retaliation from Flois after game one, and it looks as though he's just going back into the storm to make himself safe. And now Arch sat inside of his base.
Bushi,
staying alive, he's still in the game. Another wound.
Of all these pro players here, Archie might be like the most popular. Do you know what I mean? Archie, clearly. And understandably, what a character he is. The big thing for him is that it's already a tough competition because, you know, if we're being very frank, as much as I love Archie, if we're looking at the skill level of these players, you wouldn't put him in, you know, the top 5 or the top 10 or the top 20 or the top 30 or the top... You see where I'm getting at?
I can see where you're going, yep.
And on top of that, he's having to sort of dip out of his drop spot a bit earlier, right? Having to deal with bad sniper, you know, contesting him. So it just makes it a bit more awkward for him. He's not really having to work with. You see here right now, he's very wary of Lucia's position and he doesn't try and get in the way of anybody. He wants to try and avoid people as best as possible.
Yeah,もうきついな、それ。もう痒くないし。
You mentioned he's not top 10, not top 20. He won the Performance Evaluation Cup with Venom.
うわ、まだ狙う気だな。
You know what? Fair play. Fair play to him.
Can't forget that.
I do give Venom a lot of credit for that one, but, you know, Archie was there. Archie was there for sure.
He was there.
You're seeing here just how hard it is. Deep in the storm, he doesn't really have much by way of shields to work with. Just going to keep on chewing down on some meat right now.
アンチが耐久ね。
These slap juices will help him. They'll definitely get his shield up a bit.
せめて資材買っといた方がいい気がするけど。
This is going to be a long game.
お、来た。
Saw Marco in the feed getting elimination. Let's see how that went down. Of course, our game number 1 winner is able to get off to a good start in game 2, and of course he is taking out Hellfire right there. He had the advantage. He had that combat SMG that has been unbolted, and he's looking good.
Yeah, if you are
いや、意味良すぎ。
on top of the world,
意味わからん手方今の。
is going to be there. He probably went through that game, and I feel like you will see him try and replicate that success, right? He's probably going to be able to play for height. I think getting that win will also allow him to be more confident and more liberated in these sections of the game, right? You're seeing he's not afraid to take shots at people and look to find better positions.
Like,
Yeah, that's so important when you're in this environment. A lot of people talk about the fact that the aim, the jitters come in when you're trying to hit your shots, and just getting that good start right out the gate is so important. It's how the rest of your day goes, not even just from a gameplay perspective, but just a mental perspective. Just proving to yourself, I can do this. I am in the lobby of some of the best players in the world. I come out with a win, so let's see if he can keep on that development. It's Mr. Savage right now on the back foot. Unfortunately, edges his way back to the lobby. It's Marine that takes him out. From all that loop.
That is not too bad for Moran. You see him nodding his head there after the elim. Very, very proud of himself. Of course, these guys are two of the earliest solo LAN winners, right? Moran won DreamHack Winter all the way back in like 2019, right at the end of that year. And obviously going into 2020, the next one was Anna. Players familiar with the winning experience on LAN, and both players clashing heads there as well. But it was Marine that came out on top, and you know, we all know has the talent, has the skill level. Put that to work, and a great way to do it.
He's a really nice guy. He's a lovely, friendly, very chill guy as well. Nothing there's ever any problem for, and he's showing that calmness after that elimination onto Mr. Savage.
Mr. Savage やばいって。2試合とも初動詞しとるって。
マジ？あ、そっか、さっきも言ったな。
さっきもやられてるし。
まあ、まだ2日間あるしな。
そうだね。
うん。あとまで今日まで。
もう全然まだ時間あるで、これ。やばい、明日のもう。
Someone will tell us.
Someone will have us, yeah.
There's always that
one. You said it wrong. It's a dojo with a name. Pink picking up an elimination. Look at that.
That's nice. Pink didn't have the best game one, so that's really nice for him to pick one up.
Oh, でかっ。スラブ。
What was that? Bo the G. Unfortunately,
あ、そこにするんだ。
I think Reese spoke to Bo the G earlier.
さっきもさ、なんか他の人さ、ミニポーズがでかく持ってたよ。
My expectations. It should be easy because nobody expects anything from me.
おお、やばいやばい、暴れてる暴れてる。
Start to find some rhythm though. Pink that takes him out. Mustache. Feeling it right now. Okay, Mustache.
こういうの見たいわ。
Nice little control there. Takes all takes.
いや、ブッシュ強くなったって一気に。でかっ。いいね、スタッチ。お、テイソン。相方同士。
He got no scope, yeah. I think it was H30J Henry. Hit with a little no scope, made his presence known, and of course I'm sure.
結構みんなブッシュいいね、今回。
結構キルしてるから。
Two slurp juices.
相
手の奪ってるね。
Pretty solid loot. Could be a little bit better right now at this stage of the game, but if you can pick up a refresh here on Kami, could be all to play for.
We saw Kami last game. He was definitely confident when taking fights, taking battles. So I think as long as he's not forced into anything, he's not rushed. He's definitely going to be someone who is formidable in fights like these. And you can see him just so what's going on. Trying to get a peek through.
Optimus.
Then also having to worry about Swilliam just based up there. So bit of a three-way battle, and Steno with some return fire. You noticed Kami knocking on the door, and he said, "Hey, hold on a minute. You can't come in here." Forces it all the way back.
無理に行かない。
Steno, he doesn't actually aggress that. He gets the big shot, thinks, you know what, I'm not going to go straight in.
Because he's worried, right? He's worried about the potential for Swilliam to jump in on him if he does commit to a fight. So you saw that he got the shot, he turns around and focuses back on Swilliam. Now there's even more players here that he has to worry about. You see all those arrows in the bottom right. So many different players eager to get involved in all this action. They hear those shots being let off and they want to know what's happening. Where can they slot into the puzzle?
Slightly different note, just outside of Snappy Straws. Decky right now looking pretty strong. Say deck down. Some pretty solid loot. So calm from both these players. I think they're quite happy with the loot they have. Do they need to fight? Maybe for Storm Surge.
Maybe, I'm not sure if the Sipsos will want to though. At least he's trying to wait for the angle. Yeah, you saw him just waiting on that right-hand peak. And he knows that the opportunity will come. He will be patient in looking for it. Very, very patient in looking for it. And when the opportunity comes, he just takes the shots through the wall.
All about trying to hold those right-hand peaks. We can see that coming through, even both of them. It's almost a stalemate at times, these sort of fights. You're both trying to hold the same angle, waiting for the first person to make that move. It's a big elimination feed there. Veno taking out Panada. Unfortunately,
not
quite as good as he would have hoped. When he's on that contested drop spot, you could say.
And the war of attrition between these two continues. Both players just looking for some sense of control, right? Trying to take another player's wall, claim the stair, edit it. The Siptos coming from the top side, that catches him out. And that's really nicely done, just to change the pace up a bit as he moves on upwards, potentially onwards. What do we have here? Wox in the midst of a fight. That's against Bad Sniper.
Wox is crazy. I think he's one of those players that is just not talked enough about. His fighting ability is second to none. Swedish player he knows how to get those frags.
Yeah, I think that's always impressive about Wox is just his ability to just hit crazy shots. We're seeing Bad Sniper though getting out there very fast, using that newly added mud to the game and slipping and sliding his way out of danger.
He does actually have an elimination, so let's see actually how he went about that. It was Snazy on the other side of that wall, and there was the elimination coming through. There's that drum shotgun getting right to the face of Snazy, and unfortunately Snazy.
Drum shotgun's just like a battering ram. You just sort of like force your way in and just look back.
うわやばい。一気に。まあさすがの節約だなとりあえず。
やばいやばい。勝つのそれ。
マジ？
会場湧き上がってるな、今の。
えぐい。えぐいやん。あ、さっき。あれじゃない？これ、ハイドしてたりしてるじゃない？
ああ、そうだね。てか日本人映してくれよ、少しぐらい。
ね。
5秒ぐらいでもいいからさ。
お、やばい、サージ。開けたら以上。当てたら以上だぞ。おお。いや、惜しい。
当たったべ。
当たった。
やば。
強すぎ。
That's nice. He doesn't need to commit to the fight. He needs the priority over the positioning just to be able to run into
the zone.
That flopper could come in handy. Yeah, you'll see him.
Nice.
Use his two floppers as well. So
in a two flopper.
あれまたいいかな。
Sniper rifle
いや、以上だよまだ。
150、あ、これ以上アボブ。
そう、以上これ。うわ、蜂がいっぱいいる。
蜂これね、マジね、えぐいんだよね。
やばい、イカだ。とせらないと。いやー、強すぎる。お、トーマス。
What you expect to see when the heavy sniper is in the game, people using it to break their way into boxes. In the case of Thomas, he has the heavy sniper and he has that exotic shotgun that allows him to, sort of doubly look to do that, right? Yeah. You break his wall once, then somebody replaces it, he breaks it again instantly with the other weapon. So, a nice combination for him.
I don't even think he's using the sniper as a way to get into people's boxes. He's using the breacher shotgun for that. Yeah. He's just such a good sniper that one
よし、じゃあ俺ちょっと半になったんでやめます。じゃあ明日見るか。起きれんかったらごめんやけど。頑張って起きるわ。 じゃあお疲れ。
はい、おやすみ。
おやすみ。バイバイ。
But now he's not worrying anything about that. He's using the new flapjack rifle to apply some pressure.
Yeah, the flapjack rifle sounds so intimidating when you're just beating down on someone's wall with it. So much pressure being applied, but ultimately she's gonna fall back. I think the big thing with that cannon is it's very strong and it can be used to a great deal of support, but the hardest thing with it is that I think in duos it'll probably be a bit easier to use, where you can sort of combine with someone's taking shots with it, the other person's looking to hold and replace. It can be hard as a solo to use it. It'll still be very effective though at times. I'm sure we'll see C's put it to good use.
Saw Archie go down the feed right there. I think it was 4 damage. He had his head in his hands. So he's not bunny right now. Not the ideal way to go down in game number 2, but Venno looking like he's in any sort of trouble. Got a penthouse view of the fights down below and can just take advantage with that red-eye assault rifle, getting as much damage as he can. Doing a great job.
Yeah, and things are looking good for Venno. He's above on Surge. His materials are very, very strong. He has a lot of shield to play around. If anything goes wrong like this, it could be a very good game for him. Just going to drive across the river there.
Unharmed.
A lot of players taking their vehicles quite deep into these games. It's clearly something that's viable and something that will save those materials, especially since they can be hard to come by. Mappy, he ain't got to worry about materials being hard to come by. He's got plenty of materials to work with here.
多分まだザゴとそこまだ死んでないと思う。
So much loot, I should say. It's almost difficult to choose which ones to
ペコ
take.
って名前いないすごい紛らわしいんだけど。
Steno just caught inside of a bad situation for him. Matthew takes advantage, and that's why we saw him with all of that loot.
Yeah, that's rough there, right? He didn't have a clue anybody was coming in from behind. And so Mappy's able to capitalize. And of course, this shotgun in the Mythic variant is even scarier. We saw what it could do in game 1, and he's looking to show us what it does here in game 2. And he's looking to just get in. He just wants to fight everybody.
Just wants to fight. We saw it in the last game. Eclipse got a little bit over aggressive when he had that mythic drum shotgun, and it didn't work out for him. So maybe Mappy will learn his lesson from that. Maybe he didn't even see it, and he might make the same mistake. We'll have to wait and see, but another vehicle rotated. Squeezy turning the vehicle into this sort of less congested side of zone. He's got a noisy neighbor as well. It just keeps knocking on his door, but he's safe for now. Quite enjoying this position down on the low ground. He has, of course, got that vehicle to make a rotate, and oh boy, a rotate he has to make.
Yeah, that is quite the distance to go. If you have a vehicle, you can put that to use, but you're going to probably have to swim in a little bit as well. Seti, though, will be ready. You can see him just sort of scouting out his path, figuring out where he can move through. He might try and rotate along that ridge, just to try and limit the angles people can see him from. Does have to be wary of Queasy on his back though.
いなくね、ペポとザゴ。
to make his way in. Players are starting to go in. Marco, I saw just sort of bobbing around in the water looking to make his way. He's trying to do the back to back.
I like how all the players right now, they're not building bases, they're building garages.
Right.
Where can I store my car to make this next rotation? Strippin, who's also got a passenger in the back, has to make this rotation himself. Hydra just in front of him. I think that's Tates and inside of the box as well. Hammy decides to join in on the action and turn in on the junction. Strippin goes in unharmed for now.
Strategic play there from Braxel, right? Just to hop in the vehicle, because Trippin's not going to get out to deal with him. Trippin's just more focused on getting in his position.
Yeah.
And as long as Braxel doesn't try any funny business, Trippin's happy to just let him catch a free ride. Why not just stay in the vehicle? I'm worried that if someone jumps out and tries to deal with him. Try to find a place to, like you said, park your vehicle.
Okay,
his own garage, maybe a 2x2 would provide for a lot more space to store that vehicle. Marco still in this game, of course, that player who won the last game and looking to try and make it happen again here.
Got all the tools for the job as well. He's got that slurp juice, of course. Interested to see if this Cybertron cannon can have an impact in the late game. We saw him taking that high ground. Maybe he'll go to front side, look back, shoot up, and take advantage. We'll have to wait and see. Another play we haven't really talked too much about, haven't seen too much yet it is cool. He's looking to make something happen right now.
As well. See him blocking players off as they look to open up their edits, and he just ran instantly. And it might just be the right timing for him. Nobody's really shy him. As soon as shots do come through, he'll be ready to build. And he's able to save quite a bit of material there.
He really is. That was a really nice rotation. Very smart player in his own right as well. Very, very talented player as well. One on our screen, PKR, who's started to turn his vehicle, his car, into a boat. Making this rotation as well as Cammy just rushing into him as well. And now there's 4. Can they get in? Who's going to get out? Who's going to go down? I don't even know.
4 players in that vehicle. And everybody just quickly getting out thinking, hold on a minute, there's too many of us in there now. I don't feel comfortable. Bevy's one of the players who is currently residing down below most of the rest of the lobby. And he's looking for opportunities to chop people out, looking for maybe opportunities on his layer for players he can take down. And they will certainly be there. Players are starting to run low on materials.
They are, and that's why Bevy's here is just trying to look at this backside of zone. He actually popped one of those slurp juices to try and find some sort of a refresh to keep himself going in this game. Gets inside the box. Is that a one pump from the behind? That's such a difficult situation for him. And he goes back down to the lobby. Again, nobody is having to fight too early. The team's trying to fight for it, not finding any success.
So powerful high can be. He wants to take advantage, and he will. Takes the deal down, looks to ramp up, but he sees somebody above and just has to focus on staying alive in this game. His HP is so low.
No mats either. This is a difficult situation for him. That is what is his demise. He falls down right at the worst moment.
And look who's there, ready to destroy the lobby. It's Vino above. Has to worry though, because players are still fighting for it.
They are. This is all about height. This is all about positional situations for these teams. Vico all the way down on the low ground, no materials to his name. He has to try and make something magical happen. If I have my money on anyone, it would indeed be Vico. And Veno, of course, we know all about him.
Veno does not have enough white HP to be able to play with the zone, has to stay in it, but unfortunately no materials. And so this means he needs a player to walk right into his center. What will happen? Vico was ready. He is no slouch. He takes down Veno, and he's now on the move. He has a couple more builds to work with. But it is just all going to be about getting another elimination for Vico.
An absolute nightmare situation for Vico has just turned into an absolute dream. Picking up another huge refresh for him. Aqua now down on the second high ground. We're usually seeing Aqua a little bit higher up. He has got the materials to take it, but I think he's just going to offer consistency here.
What is Aqua cooking? You can see him lurking, and it's Vico that walks into his sights. He can't quite connect to the shot. Not many times that's going to happen back, but he needs to start connecting. If he wants any chance of getting a higher placement, it's a top 3 situation, but he wants more than that. Needs to start to deliver because Vico is ready and waiting.
Vico is waiting, and he's going to use the Cybertron cannon. We asked about it, but not quite finding the time to charge it up. Aqua hits a huge shot. Now can Kylie make it to take advantage of that? This is an important situation for him. He's set up for the heal off. Does he even need it though? As he's trying to aggress the box, does he need it? Of course he doesn't. And it's Kylie who takes game number 2.
Kylie picks up the win as he defeats Aqua in those closing moments, and you can see what it means to him. The satisfaction there to pick up the victory. A nicely done win as well. We saw him just waiting for those two to fight, and once they did, he dropped down, and he didn't actually have to do damage to Aqua in the end there. He just held him into the zone, and eventually his HP ticked away. Really nice win for Kai.
結構前のやつ。6ヶ月前だ。やった人。いや、来てる。それを見る。どうもどうも。うわ、いや懐かしいな。半年前だこれ。ケグして、あ、いる。やる？どこにいる？見える。どこ？
どこ？どうする？やった。あと大会出たいな。待って、やれ。逃げよう。ナイス。チャグ使わね。ナイス。いや、どなたの出したんだっけ？いや、バイキンマンも軽すぎるマジで。マジで。9。これで、入ってきた。できてるから。ナイス。一緒に取ってきて。入った。オッケー。なんか撃たれてこれだ。一人やったんだけど。誰を取ってきたの？頑張ってくれればスピード入るかも。俺のところ死体がめっちゃある。死体入ったわ。ナイス。一段下がってもいいかも。いや。ローグラードまで行っちゃってもいいかもね。ナイス。やれる。ナイス。いや。落ちこう。フロッパーから落ちこう。ナイス。地図開けなくて地図いけないわ。ピンさせない。ナイス。あと3人。いける。アンチ外耐久でもいいよ、少し。いける。いいよ。ナイス。強すぎなんだけど。やった。でも大体マックスになったっしょ。なった。メガだけないわ。今100。あれ一番後ろで、ジャンプ、一番最後にジャンプ。大きいのかってない。フォーク、あとで。ギリギリで打つ。 ないところ行こう。ハイグラ無理だわ。高い。マジこれでこれそう？移動するやつらの方が絶対倒しやすい。もうない、あっちしかない。ナイス、取ってこれるよね。やべえ、落ちちゃった。いけるいける。惜しい。ありがとう、ありがとう、ありがとう。待って、後で私欲しい。ナイス。ここ。びっくりした。敵が通った。マジか、なんかすげえ。落ちた。いるわ。いやー、すごい。やったやった。ナイスナイス。その戦えるよ。あ、敵いるんだけど。ナイス。俺も割られた。いや、なんもない回数は。あ、負ける負ける。だるいんだけど。ナイス。ナイス。ナイス。いやー、スイッチ運んでくれた、こいつら。やらなかったらジャンパー使う。ジャンパー使おう。いくよ。こいつらの、無理だ。こいつらの下行く、下行く、下。アンチじゃねえんだよな。もうちょい上行きたい。落としてやる？いいよいいよ。無理だね。はい。これいいよ、これいいよ。飛んでくるやつ撃ちたかったけどな。 場ないから顔出しやすい。終わったあったあった。あるよ。上のやつが置くかもしれないからちょっとギリギリまで待っとう。置かなかったらもうここですね。あ、置いたくね。うん。敵じゃないね、上。めっちゃ歩いてる。先に置いたら上かぶされる。いくよ。まあ、使うよね。使うよね。このジャンパー使おう、このジャンパー使おう。じゃあこっち行こう、こっち行こう。これでついてきてほしい。
Well, controller all day.
You can plug a controller into a PC. I'll give you some tips on keyboard and mouse, all right, Bash the Entertainer. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Anytime.
We're going to get into game number 3 really soon, so let's head to the desk.
Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Bash the Entertainer. I'm hoping that we can maybe have the Red Bull after party at your new flat in Glasgow. Is that too far? I'm not quite sure.
Definitely.
Definitely too far. Yeah. I don't know, Scotland's smaller than me. We've now got a new member of our analyst desk. Taka is looking a little bit taller right now. Levin, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here. You know, obviously casting the games is fun, but there was so much action. I just thought, let me take a breather for a couple of games. You know,
You put your feet up, man. Get you a drink and you just chill for a little.
Yeah, man. You gotta relax a bit.
You know what, Levin? We worked together for the first time a couple of years back, and it's been really cool to see how you've just grown and evolved within the Fortnite scene. Yeah, he was 6'5", now he's 6'8". Same height as LeBron James, isn't that right?
Yep, unfortunately, I'm not guarding Bronda. I'm here watching Fortnite instead, you know. Could be worse.
But you've become such an instrumental part of like the Fortnite scene. You know, you know all the players. You're always in the mix doing all your research. You're part of the FNCS broadcast talent team. And now you're here at Red Bull Contested. I need to ask you, because you've seen this game grow, right? And we are sitting in the iconic McEwen Hall in the heart of Edinburgh. I've honestly never been part of a more exquisite venue. And I have you here with us. What do you make of it?
It is, honestly, it's jaw-dropping. You know, the players, everybody is very sort of impressed with how things look and appear, and it's a beautiful location. You know, all the things are just nice in terms of just little graphics, and everything's just nice and clean, which I think definitely helps. And I mean, to be here, right, who would have thought when we were working together all them years ago, we'd be here in Scotland doing this? Come on.
I'm here for it.
I'm also here, guys.
Reece, you still here?
You get some love as well, Reece.
You get some guys, it's okay.
You get yourself on one of these vans and start. No, I'm kidding. All right, it's time for another player interview brought to you by EE, and it's with my man Hen.
My name is Henrik Brian McLean. My name is Hen. I'm 17 years old.
What vaulted item would you add back to the game?
It has to be the pump shotgun.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl for sure.
Favorite landing spot?
Has to be Stark.
Happy or grumpy?
Has to be grumpy.
Most embarrassing way you've lost a match?
I'm in a 1 versus 1. This guy, I made him 1 HP. I was so cocky. I was telling people I'm just gonna start winning this game, and then kind of choked and lost, so that's unfortunate.
Celeb that you would like to see in Fortnite?
Kevin Hart.
Funniest moment you've had in a game?
I have so many, there's just not one to choose from, because I'm just that funny guy, you know.
He is a funny guy, and he's modest as well, of course. But I agree. Hey, Hen, how are you doing? You all right? Yeah? Hey, Hen, your dad's in the audience. I was chatting with him earlier. He's really excited to watch you in action as well, so. Yeah.
That's a funny guy.
He is a funny guy, he's right. And I would love to see Kevin Hart as well in Fortnite. I've already got The Rock. I got The Rock skin, so it'd be like Jumanji in the jungle.
The whole collaboration.
They've done a couple
We've got
things.
Jack Black in there,
They've done a couple things together, right? The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Yeah, they have.
Don't give him the idea. You've already got the jungle in, so.
That's what I'm saying. We could have Jumanji 3.
Are you leaking something?
Maybe. Am I going to get in trouble? Am I going to get fired?
Yeah, he's not going to be here in the next game, just in case you're wondering.
Reese, should we take a look at the leaderboard after game 2?
Please, we should.
Because it's all starting to stack up. We've got a couple of pages to rattle through. Very different results in game 1 and 2, but this is how things are stacking up at the top end. Marco sitting pretty on 98 points. Momentum on his side.
I absolutely love that. And, you know, we sat here and we discussed. I was like, I'm not sure if Marco's going to be capable of continuing that. He didn't have a massive game by any means, but that points added up repeatedly. Zagu is another player who's had top 10 in both games. And another big representation from Asia. And I said coming into the show, I want to see it. I want to see the Zagu. I want to see the Asia players pop off.
Yeah, Zagu's a fan favorite in his own right? Obviously, we might not see it here in Edinburgh, but in Asia, he is huge, a big deal. I'm sure in like the chat, so we opened up like the stream, right? And in the chat, it was all like his fans spamming Zagu. So they'll be happy to see him all the way up there.
Yeah, and you can see it all on Twitter, the support worldwide for a lot of these players that maybe some of you watching aren't that familiar with, like Levin just said there, but here you can see on page 2 some big names there too.
Absolutely, Thomas HD, obviously a player who wants to end up winning the overall tournament, still in a good position, but let's be real, it's also a position that primes him not to win another major tournament, which we do not want to see here.
I think it's still very early doors, right?
Absolutely.
You look at the players here in these sort of positions, 11 to 20, like you are still well within reach, especially with, the point format changing in the back 4 games. It's like you're not really out of it. Once you start getting below 20th, I start going, okay, you need to pick it up a bit, right?
Yeah.
But I think these guys here have shown at least some form of consistency and ability to do well in these games.
Well, let's take a look at our man, Marco, leading the charge.
You were looking to see if he was sweating or not.
It doesn't look like he is.
He's chilling right now. He's absolutely okay.
You know what? In the first game, I couldn't work out if he was nervous or not, but I think he's taken this in his stride.
Well, his hands were shaking. He was showing the people next to him like, my hands are shaking, but he seemed to have gathered his bearings pretty quickly, and he's in his element right now. Like, I really did see in that second game that you can tell he's clearly just a lot more confident in this lobby, and that just, we can talk about statistics and, we can analyze this, that, and the other, but sometimes, like, a player's mentality can just carry them through.
Everything.
Absolutely, and oftentimes, like, let's be real, we've not seen such a big solo event in so long, so we're not sure who those players are, right? Who are the players who are going to crack and crumble under the pressure when it's just all onto them, and so far, Marco seems to be going strong.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that, right? Every big solo competition we have, it's like there's always a player who's, like, done really well, but because it's been so long, we just see them as established players that are, like, really, really good, but a lot of new names are definitely going to show up here.
You guys ready for game 3? We're rattling through these now. We've still got, remember, there are 8 games in total, and we are now rocking into the 3rd. Edinburgh, are you ready? I think so. I think that was a yes. Let's get the countdown going. Count with me, guys.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mini Manor and Taco, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ian. We are here, and of course, a switch up on the desk means a switch up on the cast. And I'm joined by a slightly shorter caster. It's the best.
5'11".
5'11"?
Yeah.
What does that make me? Does that make me 6 foot?
Easily. I mean, everybody looks like they're, 5'1" compared to 11.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking like they're having fun today as well. This is Red Bull Contested, and we are here. My mic keeps falling. This is not ideal. But we are here, and it is time for game number 3. I couldn't be more excited.
That's the thing, Minnie, is that we've already seen 2 games pull through of the competition, and our winners so far between Marco and Kylie. I mean, you want to imagine a little bit of a target on your back at the same time, because when it comes to solos, all of these guys can look to kind of throw punches each other's way.
Yeah, I mean, for Marco, he's had such a great start. Hopefully, he can continue that momentum going through. It's going to be tough for him, though. Of course, he is contested, so it is a little bit more difficult.
And again, it's one of those examples, I think, of where Marco just kind of doing his best to kind of utilize some of those new features as well from that mid-map position. I'm loving the introduction so far of the jungle biome, and all of these players, I think, just ultimately trying to make the adaptations necessary. We are seeing a little bit of shifts, I think, in gameplay as well throughout the course of each of these games.
Yeah, we are, and this is really where things get a little bit interesting, because we're getting closer to that halfway point, and of course, if you just joined us, the second half of the tournament gains you double elimination points. We can't keep talking about that enough, because it has such a big impact.
And again, with the way that